ask you all about it. I'm just going to do a quick intro, and then we're going to
Yeah.
go live. Hello, everybody. This is Conservation Conversation number 30. I can't believe we're this far into the series, and it's taken me this long to get my very favorite guest, the one I'm most excited about.
Aw.
Honestly, it's been forever. And Rachel Somani, one of the most key people in inspiring my own musical journey and that of Stornaways. Just thanks for being here.
Aw.
Welcome.
That's a nice introduction, Ollie.
Where do we find you dialing in from today?
So this is my little attic studio / mess.
Every artist has got to have a mess, right? Like, yeah, this is why all the mess I've got is up on the walls or out of sight.
Yeah.
it's
if I
permanent
could,
mess.
if I could, I would put it a little bit more out of sight. But I kind of love it, and you can see my lovely homemade baffles.
Right.
So Tom, my partner, made the baffles, and then I tie-dyed them with my eldest daughter Rosa, the colors of a particular goddess who's like all about like poetry and being she's called Matangi, and she's like this outcast.
Yeah.
So I've got Matangi baffles all over.
This is brilliant. And I know, so I've examined some of Tom's amazing cabinet making. And I remember as far back as maybe 2012, seeing a workshop that he was in. So are these are very well crafted, no doubt. How deep are these baffles? Are we talking like super soundproofing?
Not very deep, because the space that we're in is like so small already, like when we were like doing measurements. So we're talking like that kind of a thickness. So not much, but makes me feel professional.
Yeah, and when you've got the depth of something like a folkloric character like that, did you say Matangi, the name of the goddess?
Yeah, so Matangi is from India, is one of these 10 most incredible sort of goddess sisters called the Dasha Mahavidyas. Dasha meaning 10, Maha meaning great, Vidya goddess. And so she's one of these sisters, and I've learned about her through different avenues of like the tantric world, and I just of what I know, because of course it's not my culture and it's not necessarily a tradition I was brought up in, but the sort of energy that Matangi has is kind of like something that I feel like as artists is kind of part of our embodiment and part of our maybe our responsibility to embody as well, because she's like I said before, she's kind of a really interesting character because she's the outcast. She's like she's like the sort of right in the margins, and at the same time observing everything and okay to be sort of shunned. She has sort of like a witch energy or something that people might not necessarily like, but she often speaks truth.
Like a kind of a mischievous edge to that energy. Yeah,
definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I wanted to recommend, and now you've found me the perfect moment to do it. I wanted to sometime in this conversation to recommend you a book. You may have come across it, called Mischief Acts, by Zoe Gilbert. So she's an author based within the bounds of what used to be the Great North Wood in southeast England, and it's now almost all gone, industrialized, flattened. But she writes about the kinds of stories from various different cultures involving dryads, nymphs, and water gods and hunting gods. And just you've taken us straight into this very topic with Matangi. Zoe's book is, I'm sure, going to be something that you'll love reading, and might even inspire some songwriting.
What did you say it was? Mischief
Acts. Yeah, and it's kind of two senses of the word mischief and two senses of the word act, because it's the quality of mischief in all these characters, and it's acting on themselves and on each other, and this presence of mischief that still hasn't gone away, even though we've disenchanted the wood entirely, and we're now 1,000 years on from when it started to be disenchanted. She writes, I don't want to give any plot spoilers, but the wood finds its enchantment back in some way, and its presences like these Matangi characters and others from so many different cultures are the way that yeah, humanity finds itself back to where it's meant to be. Maybe one way of putting it.
I love it. I cannot wait. Okay, thank you. I needed that.
For those who like a good audiobook, it's a really well produced audiobook as well.
Cool.
So these colors, the colors there of Matangi, are these particular colors that you then take forward into other areas of like your craft, Rachel, that you take on tour and incorporate into an artwork, perhaps? What's the significance of color in your work?
I love that question. Red and green, even before I knew about Matangi, were my favorites. And I know this is kind of pinky, but the sort of there's the red and green is a kind of I love the sort of garish quality. I'm also just looking at I lit a wee candle before you arrived, and that's a red and green. There's a good red and green there as well. So, I mean, essentially, color itself. I think again maybe link the presence of what I know that about Matangi, but like there's an element of I love to be immersed in a sort of aesthetic beauty, like there's an element of like being surrounded in something that's sort of things that you can wear that are of that color, or things that you can be sort of immersed in. I think like more and more I realize that there's an element of importance, like there's an element of ritual associated with that. So maybe in that respect it's inspiring. It's just like simply inspiring. I don't necessarily it's a good question, and I will then ponder it for whether it infiltrates my songs in a way. I'm not what's that thing, synesthesia?
Synesthetic, yeah, synesthesia.
Yeah. I don't have that. Sometimes I feel like hearing music can like invoke a color for sure, but I don't necessarily I don't think I would say that I've got that superpower. That it's a sort of clairvoyance of some kind, I guess, but it's not something I possess. But yeah, so colors themselves within music aren't necessarily something that pops for me. But then I guess concepts are. So like the whenever I have a band and I'm trying to rehearse with them and get across an idea, it's always the idea is given as an interpretation or a story or a feeling. So there's that's a tangent, but that's probably where other things feed in there.
This is great. There's so much more for us to talk about, and I want to get to our menu of questions that I ask all my guests on here. But we need to like schedule another call ASAP because there's so much. There's so much here. I was just thinking back to some of your oldest songs, because let me fill in the audience here. And by the way, we've had hellos from Henry Lawrence Chase, and we've had Anne Denison from Nijmegen tuning in. So
nice.
It's great to see some of the folks who would have seen yourself as well as us going back as far as 2010, I think, maybe even 2009. So we toured together in April 2010, I believe it was, and it was a really a watershed moment for all the individuals in Stornoway, I think, because we'd never really done a journey like that, and collaborating with you was just this eye-opening experience. So thank you for inspiring us. And I was thinking back to those early songs, and I guess you could say the Ever Since the Chocolate was a song that mentions color, in a sense, chocolate being a kind of a color. Yeah. Any other songs that mention color? That might be
yes. Yes, of that era. Yeah, that's true. There are. Yes, there's a dress that turns from white to red. Now that you say that, I'm trying to think if there are any others, but well remembered.
It was an unforgettable tour, really. So and keeping journals, is that something that you do? Because as part of preparing for this, I referenced my old journals from back then, and I was able to jog the memory as to
That's cool.
all the things we saw, all the places we visited.
I'm gonna go back into so these 3 boxes are my journals since I was maybe 8, maybe younger, who knows, but and I recently was like part of it was quite a few years ago actually. I gave a workshop, and one of the women on it, we were speaking about keeping journals, like the question of do you keep them or not, and she said that she burnt them all, and I really like, part of me like cannot bear the thought of burning, and at the same time I think it's a very brave and brilliant sort of act at the same time. But yeah, I'm a um, chronic journaler. I I really don't like fully understand people who don't journal, because I don't know how they keep themselves together.
It's so important, isn't it? And just getting ideas down, getting ideas out, maybe.
Yeah, even if you're just writing shite, it's like I need to just write the shite and then I'll feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I also want to say hi to James Houghton, who's tuned in. That's great to see him.
James.
James was involved in the very earliest days as well. I'm going to ask you now about Manchester Folk Festival, because I understand you've done a lot of touring this year, and maybe the last thing you want to do is think ahead to the busy trips for next year. But you know, they are the partners in this conversation, and they helped me get inspired and focused enough to organize this series. And part of it is that Stornoway played in March. We had such a great time there.
Cool.
And I'm going to be going back there in my own capacity in March. So I'll see you there in like 6 months' time.
Great.
I'm really excited to be there. And I hope that your album has been submitted to the Folk Album of the Year Award, which is something that they're also helping to organize through the Sound Roots group.
Cool.
Because I think yours is one of the most brilliant voices in folk at the moment. And I want to know a little bit, without giving away any spoilers, what the folks can expect from the collaboration set with Joshua Burnside that's now been announced.
Yeah. Well, Josh and I have had a few phone calls, shared some ideas. We haven't gone too much further than that, but we'll definitely. I guess there's no doubt going to be the sharing of song. That is going to happen, and how much of it I'm still curious to find out quite how it will work out. But I think essentially one of us will give a set and the other will give a set, and then we'll probably do a bunch of songs together. And of course, I've been listening a lot to Joshua's album, his most recent album, and just like loving it so much, and so curious. Like I really can't wait to hear it live. Like I'm sure there'll be maybe some new songs that he has to offer as well. But just really excited to. Live is always fun, and that's cool that you'll be there. And it just seems like there's like it feels like a bit like a sort of exciting vortex that I'm getting closer to. So that's cool. And you've experienced the vortex at least once before.
Indeed, yeah. For me, the idea of the vortex of musical creativity starts. I grew up in South Africa and playing traditional music there, and there were different approaches into it. So I could learn the language of Zulu or Xhosa, and I did some of that, not only in school but outside. I learned a Maskandi guitar style, which I incorporate to a lot of my playing now. These were my entrances to the vortex, and now I'm transplanted to a different place and a different culture where I'm slowly but it seems surely, because in March I'll be doing this set as while singing kind of British folk songs, and I've finally sort of adopted a new place and the traditions of that place. So I'm very excited to kind of have my kind of homecoming ceremony or something, my welcoming into the folk scene somehow. I don't know if that's too big a way of putting it, but I want to come see you guys that weekend. I'm really excited to do that. We've had a question in from Bethan Briggs Miller, who says,
Nice.
Are you going to be doing creativity circles again?
Yes, answer Bethan. I've got one already sold out workshop, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, where I sort of host 13 people. I'm not sure if that's the one you're speaking of. And then I do hope to, like, when my second Bubba, so last year when we were early early days postpartum, I couldn't do something like an intensive weekend like I've done in the past, because it takes up all your time and energy, and I couldn't do that. But I did these creative circles, which is maybe what you're speaking of, Bethan, of one every month, I think, and it was like based around the elements. It's so much fun. So I'll definitely do that again. Hold tight.
That's great to hear. I think we'll have some listeners who are really keen to hear that, and I'll spread the word. We've also had High Art on the Edge, W tuning in from San Francisco. W runs a really, really great interview series, and I'd love to see him interviewing you. Actually, we have a question from W, which might be a very deep one that we can incorporate into the rest of this conversation. But what does art mean and do for you? That's one from W. Maybe I can weave that into my my questions about conservation. So we're here to talk conservation, and the questions around the Manchester Folk Festival that we're both going to be playing at would be the conservation in the musical sense. So I want to ask you, Rachel, about one example. I know it's hard to pick one, but a recording or a memory of a live experience which blended in the old and the new, and it balanced the fanning of the flames of tradition with allowing space for innovation.
Yeah. As soon as I was offered, like as soon as I read that question as a precursor to hanging out, it was actually a very quick and easy answer that came to my mind. And I guess because not only is this musician and artist and performer brilliant, but they're also my best friend. And it's this album by Laura Wilkie, and I don't know if it's been referenced before, but I think it's a great example of this very thing, where she's a fiddle player from Scotland. She's from Tain up north, very close to where I was brought up, but we met in Glasgow more than 10 years ago, probably around the same time that I met you, Ollie.
Yeah, because I remember, and there's a photo. I'm going to see if I can find it now and post it for the audience. There's a photo of our jam session after the Tobermory show, which was the first day we all met. And Laura and I are playing an Indian tune, actually. And I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it's that start, and we're having such fun with that. And it's thanks to you that we were introduced, and we've kept in touch ever since.
Yeah, she's such a it's funny, I went to her album launch at Celtic Connections last year, and it was like the place where all the rivers meet. That's what I've been calling Laura Wilkie, because the people who were there either to play with her or to witness her album launch, it was just everybody I'd ever known in music seemed to be there and seemed to be celebrating her. It was like emotional just for me. I felt, I don't know what it must have been like for her, because I guess often as a fiddle player, you're in a supporting role. She's played on my albums and many people's albums, and it was just so exciting and cool to see her own project coming to life. And this project, she just devoted so much of herself to, where she was basically researching old Gaelic songs, but really digging deep into archives where there's like lots of like maybe I don't know much about this world and this tradition, but like in the world of that tradition, you get a lot of revival of the songs, but she was really digging into places and melodies that haven't so much been taken, and then from these old recordings and also from her chats and hanging out with this older lady who was sort of part of a lineage of Gaelic song, just gleaned as much as she could from these traditions, took the sort of ornaments and ornamentation and the feeling from the songs, because obviously she's a fiddle player, so the words didn't come through. There are moments where there are words in the album, but essentially most of it's just feeling. And she's just managed to like really do that. And and so I think is a great example of someone who's like reinventing, but completely honoring that flame that you're speaking of. It's a beautiful album.
That's brilliant. So everyone do go and check out Laura Jane Wilkie. That is a really heartfelt recommendation from me and the rest of the band. We definitely remember, Laura's playing back in Tobermory, and the music we've heard since very fondly. In fact, Laura came to share a dram after our Glasgow farewell show back in 2017.
Wow.
And that to have that kind of moving farewell, and then 5 years later we managed to meet up when we were back in town, having reunited, and we were
So nice.
playing in the bandstand.
And I'm getting I'm getting memories of the jam as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were pots and pans involved.
That's right.
Pots and
Yeah,
pans.
when as usually the case, Stornoway hasn't thought ahead to bring its own percussion and be prepared. So we just make the most out of makeshift surroundings. It was a happy time.
Mhm.
Well, that's one of the best answers I've had to that question, really, in the 30 conversations we've had to date. Thank you very much for that recommendation.
Pleasure.
And then I'd like to move to speaking about place and how place plays a role in music making and music appreciation as well. So conservation in the musical sense we've talked about, but now conservation in the environmental sense. We've tried to hone our reputation as a band who care about conservation, about the environment. And Brian is a nature reserve manager in his full-time job. That's what he does with his time. I did a big walk yesterday raising money for a nature reserve. We've all got, we're kind of obsessed with, and as you can hear it in our lyrics, we are the battery human between the salt marsh and the sea. We reference habitats and creatures all the time. It's what inspires us. So I wanted to find out what makes other artists tick in that regard. And I'm going to ask you whether, in the environmental sense, if there's a place or a species or some concept to do with biodiversity and the environment that you have invited into your music making, or that you've been somewhere and decided that was a great place that invited people to enjoy nature as part of the appreciation of music.
Cool. Yeah, I was almost stumped by this question initially, but actually you sort of delving a little bit there has helped because the first place that I thought of actually was, it's slightly it's not quite, I'll go a few other places after, but essentially I was thinking about a particular venue actually in London, which was King's Place, and the fact that that room is made out of one tree.
I see.
And it actually has a name, and I've gone and forgotten the name of this tree, but I think that it's slightly tangential, but I think that's such a beautiful thing that it's not necessarily that the nature is alive, but it was one tree. It's a big space, and it's so amazing to think of all that wood being of the same being, which actually takes me straight to my very, very first piano lesson when I was about 16. My piano teacher, Ferdy, I feel like I came to him too late. I would have liked to have him for a mentor for my whole youth, but his first lesson, he sat me down beside the piano, and he didn't we didn't touch the piano for ages. He was just I really want you to know that every element of this piano at some point in time was alive, and talked me through the wood, if it was an old piano, the ivory, the strings from the elements and the minerals of the earth, blah blah blah, and just then he got me to sit down and play each note with my eyes closed until I heard all the way through to the harmonics and nothing else, and it was like a sort of meditative experience. And from there onwards I was extremely devoted to Ferdy, because I thought that's how to begin, that's how to introduce somebody to an instrument, and how to instill them with the living nature, even when something isn't alive anymore.
Yeah.
So there was that, but then also I guess to speak of my own experience, which you were asking about there. I have done some recordings in the past that like my first ever EP. I did I recorded it in a bothy in near Aviemore in the Highlands of Scotland, and just got a generator and invited about 10 musician friends to sort of maybe show up, and they did, and yeah, like getting to be deep in a forest, in the dark. I spent the night there myself the night before, and I'm a big, I must be a scaredy cat because it was really difficult. It was like, I was really excited about it, but then when it came to the reality of seeing my friends like headlights disappear, and I was playing the fiddle, like practicing the fiddle, and all I had was like the fire and the candles for light. But what I recognized is as the darkness fell, the light seemed to like take the darkness, make the darkness stronger.
I see. Yeah.
And the silence got even more sort of strong. But I know that that experience that night, and there were all sorts of revelations that evening for me that were great. The next day, it sort of made it, certainly that kind of element of that presence of the presence of no one, and the big presence of everything else. Probably provided me with a good new found courage for the recording experience with this beautiful bunch of people. And the 2 nights, the first night on my own, and then the next night just recording until like 3 a.m. with this lovely group of people, couldn't have been more sort of different. And the second night just so warm and lovely, and yeah, the creaking of the wood. I think that sort of exists for a lot of my recordings. The other recording I did was in a boat shed, so we literally had just the open air and water underneath our feet. And yeah, I think I definitely need elements of that to connect to in order to give a good performance.
Yeah, I think now that you mention the place plays a role sonically in your music, and I think there's something that I can hear consistently in everything that I most love about what you've released is where I feel like I'm in the room. You can hear the movement of the air. You can hear almost what the light would have been doing at the time, and that's really a special thing. And I'd never really noticed it or articulated it like that before. But hearing you talk through how it was made, I think it's just a very natural sound and like a present sound, as if the listener's in there with you. So thanks to you for making those decisions, those creative decisions, and to your engineers, I guess, for helping make that come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I'm going to go give them all another listen after this.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like it's slightly, it's like inverted, but my association with you guys is like west coast of Scotland. I guess we had our tour there, but also my memory also is that like having family, like driving with the family in the car on holidays, my whole family, include like my extended Sermani family going on holidays. We all loved Stornoway and we all listened to Stornoway. And so like there's a bright, like there's a, I don't know, now I'm going to go and listen and see what space you guys evoke, because it's immediately when I'm listening, I'm sort of transported to like a summer West Scotland, which is lovely.
That's great. That's a really wonderful to hear that we can transport you there. It's kind of in the band's name. You know, we were all just sitting around after a rehearsal eating chips one day, and we saw the weather report, and that's where the name kind of struck us. But the more romantic way to put it would be, it's a name that does evoke like a place, a far distant place that maybe you never get to because it's across the water, and there's a sense of adventure So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, we'll do our mutual listening. I'll listen to yours, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's you know, my favorite. And this is like there's one I yeah, play a lot to the family as well, is Lay My Heart. That's a really special song, and I think partly because when I hear it, I'm taken back to a couple of times I've seen you play it live, and it's a really
Mm.
it was really special the first times hearing it live. The other ones, you know, the Royal Festival Hall was a real favorite gig where I saw you playing for the Transatlantic Sessions, and
Yeah.
James Houghton, who we mentioned earlier, brought me to that. It was such a moving performance, and yeah, well, I could just reminisce forever about your performances, but I'm going to see you in March, so
Yeah.
I'll end on
Yeah.
that note of excitement, and yeah.
And have you recorded your English folk songs?
Yes, that is a part of a project which I haven't talked about on this platform yet, but it's my solo thing. I'm 308 days in, as of today, into learning and recording a new folk song every day. So
Whoa.
these are English, British, some Irish songs in there, some Zulu songs from South Africa, and even Japanese. We did an
Wow.
Italian one as well for European Folk Day a couple of months ago. So it's a wide-ranging, ambitious project, and I tried to get it started back in 2021, but
Wow.
you know, reaching into about March, 90 days in, I would always find a reason to give up. But this year, I've managed 308 days in a row.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
I don't know what I've got myself in for. There's no turning back now. But that is the project I'm bringing to Manchester in March.
Cool. Very
Thanks.
cool. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait. That's so exciting. Oh,
Check, you know, there might be songs that you can tell me I've missed in my list by the time I get there.
you've got them all,
Ah.
I'm sure.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Rachel, and for giving us your Tuesday evening, and such interesting responses. This is honestly this has been my favorite conversation of the lot. I
Aw.
really appreciate this.
Thank you,
And
Ollie.
yeah, looking forward to March.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, and thanks everyone. We've had a really great crowd tonight, and I'm really grateful to you all for being here. Take care, everybody, and see you